It's time we break down another offensive scheme, and this is one I'm excited for because I'm leaning towards this being my scheme in our next college football dynasty. And that's going to be a variant of the spread offense. We've talked about spread option. This time, we're talking about spread screen passes. And the reason we're using Miami here is because their playbook has some of the most amount of screens. So if you are looking for a good playbook for this, check out Miami's or create your own. But before we jump into the archetypes and the recruiting plan here for this scheme, let's talk a little bit about where this scheme came from. And surprisingly, it dates back to 1927 with a high school coach in Rusty Russell, who originally created the spread offense as his team was smaller, weaker than their opponents, so they spread them out and beat them horizontally. That then developed into the 1950s, where it turned to college football with Leo Dutch Meyer, and then into the 1970s and 90s, where you start to see a little bit more evolution, talking about the air raid style from the spread, the run and shoot, and a little bit of that West Coast style. And then when you get to more of the more modern style of this offense, which is what we are going to look to emulate from the 2000s to the present, you got guys like Bill Walsh, Bill Parcells. They introduced the quick throw aspect to this offense, not just airing it out deep. You then get the zone read packages in there, the RPOs, and then guys like Chip Kelly, Urban Meyer introduced a little bit more of the run aspect to the spread. But we are very much more focused on the RPOs, those zone reads, and the screen passes coming out of this playbook with a whole lot of short, some medium. And when we do look to go deep, we got to make sure we got receivers to catch that ball. But we also need to make sure that we have quarterbacks who can throw that ball. So let's start there. And this is where you really have two paths you can go down. If you're just looking for the quick passing game, get the screen passes to the outside, and let them go to work, well then pocket passer is going to be your best archetype for your quarterback. Someone who's going to have consistent accuracy in delivering those balls and letting the playmakers get stuff done on the outside. But if you want to do a little bit more of those read options, a little bit more of the RPOs, a quarterback with some mobility would help out. Dual threat would be the best option there, but if you could find a fast pocket passer, that's going to be your ideal situation. And to help you do that, as I always say, search for your archetypes. So when it comes to recruiting, you're not even going to really look here at the any states, the recommended. All you're going to do is you're going to click that Y button, or if you're on PlayStation, the triangle button. Go into the search. Quarterbacks. We're going to start with that pocket passer because this is the ideal quarterback for this offense, because you need the best accuracy possible because you're passing the ball majority of the time. So let's just tack on the first three on the board here. And this is a position group that you are going to need to scout, because again, if you want that RPO, some of those read option elements to this offense, you need a quarterback that can run a little bit. So for Fusco here, 75 speed, but the accuracies are at a pretty good spot. As for Tremaine Hendricks, scout him up a little bit slower. Maybe not what we're looking for. We remove him. In fact, we'll remove Fusco here so we could even scout Ty Carrion. And he's definitely a bust. And that's why I say it's so important to do your scouting, because again, if you want that quarterback with a little bit more speed, you may not find it every single time with the pocket passers. So you do need to look at the dual threats in that category. Again, we'll tack on the first three. And once again, you're going to do your scouting. Now the focus with these dual threats is finding quarterbacks with higher throw power and accuracy. Well, Frederick Pape here looks pretty good. The short and medium is where you're going to lie. Probably, I would say, around 80% of the time with this offense. You're only going to go deep that 20 some odd percent. But it's also important to note that outside of just the accuracies, the speed, the throw power, the abilities are key as to why these are the archetypes we need to go after. We'll start with that pocket passer, resistance, step up, sleight of hand, dot, and on time. It's just all going to help you with some better throwing accuracy. Dual threat, option king is going to be really big for you if you are looking for that RPO, the read option, to add to your offense. Extender also helps in that category. They also get downhill, dot, and mobile resistance. The next position group may not be as big in this offense unless you are doing a lot of slip screens to the running backs, but they also might be spread out at receiver. And this is a group that I will once again give you two different options, because not every time are you going to find the best option in one particular archetype. Well, both of these are going to be a little bit more of your agile type, starting with the north-south receiver at the running back position. You could also tag team that with the East-West playmaker. And starting with that playmaker, they're going to get recoup, shifty, sidestep, 360, and armbar. Just really good abilities for a guy who's going to be out in space and to gain all the extra yards possible, because that's what this offense is about. The north-south receiver also has some good abilities for open space, like armbar. They also have balanced, safety valve, head first, and downhill, meaning they're going to catch that ball, get north and south quickly, pick up as many yards as possible. And just as we did with the quarterbacks, once again, we don't care about the any state page. We're going to look specifically for the running backs we want. So find East-West playmaker. If you are looking for someone that is perhaps a certain size, you can filter by that. Handiness, interest in school, the recruiting stage, that one is pretty good for you later on in the season, not necessarily at the start. You could go ahead and search that. This is a position group that you may not have to scout as much. Really, the biggest thing when it comes to these running backs is going to be more of their athleticism. What's their speed? What's their acceleration? That change of direction. Dion Hippenhammer, well, we are finding a lot of busts today. Let's hope Peter Denson is not another. Scouting him up now, he has 95 speed, 92 excel. Change of direction is at 85. Might need a little bit more from the spin, the juke, but again, he will be a freshman. Carrying, not as big, because you're not going to be running down the middle of these defenses. But let's also make sure we do take a look at those receiving running backs as well. And there is one ranked top 40 in the country. Amari Jordan, again, we're looking for that speed, the athleticism here. Acceleration coming in at 90, another bust with 85 speed, I would say so. That's why you should do some scouting. And finding all these busts, not necessarily helping out portray how good this offensive scheme could be, but it definitely is. Horizontal play rather than attacking vertically is going to stretch out that defense and open up a lot of different lanes for you. But when you do look to attack deep, you got to make sure that you have a receiver that's going to catch that ball 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10. And that starts with your X receiver. This is a position group that really is 3 positions. We've talked before about how college football, even Madden, kind of has this installed, but really doesn't go the full length that they should. Receiver is at another spot. As you do just have the receivers, which are going to be the 2 receivers on the outside, both one to the left, the other one to the right, typically. And they also give you the slot receiver spot, which meets 2 of the 3 positions of the receivers. And it's the just plain Jane receiver spot that really should be 2, your X and your Z. So when it comes to recruiting, this is probably going to be the spot where you're going to do the most amount of recruiting, because again, you got to fill in 3 position groups here, starting with that X. And X is the receiver that's always on the opposite side of the tight end, which is another spot here where EA hasn't quite put it in correctly, but I'll show you a workaround later. But our X receiver, that's going to be your physical route runner, because their archetype abilities are crucial. Again, this is the guy that's going to be your downfield one-on-one. If you're going to go downfield that 20% of the time, you need to be hitting on all 100% of that 20%. With the sure hands, 50-50, cutter, press pro, and downhill, it's going to be a great option for you for that mano-on-mano. But we also talked about the Z receiver. That's going to be the one who plays to the side of the tight end, the strong side, and typically will be the one that would go in motion, be perhaps a little bit more of a gadget style player, but we're not going after gadget. We're going after elusive route runner. And similar to the physical route runner, they do get cutter, but they also get 360, double dip, recoup, and sidestep. They're just going to be a little bit better of a receiver for that underneath play. Let him do something more agile, again, more elusive style receiver that is going to get those screens perhaps a little bit more than the X. And then lastly, for the receiver group, you have your slot receiver, which again, depending on the offense, you're going to hear different names. S, F, H. It all depends again on the offense. In this instance, it's just your slot receiver. And we're going to try to find a nice middle ground, which is route artist. And you're going to see some similar abilities here with the route artist. Cutter, recoup, double dip, sure hands. We saw those with the other 2 options, but this guy also has layout, so it'll just be a better option over the middle for you. And just like the quarterbacks, what we saw a little bit of the running backs, making sure you are scouting here is going to help out, because there are certain things that may lack with each of these different archetypes. but you can still find it. And we'll start with the contested receiver. So that's going to be our X receiver. Again, you're going to search here. You're going to find your physical route runners. You're going to search here, find whatever guy you want, whether you are looking for a pipeline guy or not. We're just going to tack on the first 3 guys here to our board and once again go scout. For the physical route runners, we're looking for someone who has some speed. Because again, one-on-one, you want that separation, you're going to need a little bit of some speed. So we're going to do some scouting here. Acceleration starts good. Release starts very good. 88 speed as a freshman, not too bad. Depending on the caps, can definitely go up. What about Frankie Duckett? 88 speed for him. 84 release, slightly better acceleration. And then Cordavius Dishman. He's going to have lower speed and acceleration. So that's why, again, it's good to do your scouting. If there is a group that you might be able to do some lighter scouting on, I would say that's going to be your Z, the elusive route runner. Most of the time, they are going to have the better speed, the better acceleration. So if you're going to focus, again, if you have limited points, if you're going to focus on other scouting here for the receivers, I'm going to say route artist. And that's because, one, you got the number 2 guy here. We're going to attack on the first 3. But again, when it comes to this position and what they're going to be doing for us, they're going to be going over the middle a lot. So we want to make sure that they have some good catch in traffic. 83 here for DiNucci, the number 1 receiver in the class, number 2 national player. Stephon Biggers, he has 84, and now we got a gem. Speed is looking good too. 89 medium route running, looking great. Obviously, if you're starting from a smaller dynasty, you may not have 4 stars looking at you. But you might run into someone like Taki here, who only has 86 speed. It could work for you over the middle, but it may not be perfect for you. But there is one other receiver letter we haven't talked about, and that is the Y, which is always going to be that tight end as long as they're on the field. And when it comes to choosing your tight end, it's pretty simple here. This is a pass-first offense, so vertical threat is going to be your number 1. But you may also want to consider some physical route runners. And these tight ends have very similar abilities to the receiving physical route runners, though it does seem like that page is having issues with the recording. So we're going to pause on bringing that page up here. It's always linked down in the video description towards the bottom. You can find it, collegefootball.gg/abilities. But I'll save you the look once again of searching for these guys. Just go in, give yourself a couple options. When it comes to the vertical threats, it would help if they have a little touch of blocking to them. But again, this is going to be an archetype you may not have to scout as much. If you do go with a physical route runner, it may be good to check their speed. 79 here for Manny Simmons may struggle to open up on some plays. What about Isaiah Hippenhammer? 81 speed, that's going to be a bit better, though the acceleration is really low. So something to keep in mind with those physical route runners is they are going to be a touch slower. And lastly, I will say, it is technically 5 positions, but we're going to group them all together because we're going to look for the same archetypes. And you might be surprised here that given the fact that this is a pass-first offense, that we're not going pass protectors here at tackle. Instead, tackles, guards, centers, you're going to look for agile guys first. Then you're going to follow that if you need some extra bodies there with the well-rounded fellas. And instead of pulling up the abilities show here again, because it is having some issues, again, check the link down below. But your agile guys, they're going to have screen enforcer. They're going to have option shield, outside shield. They also will get quick step and quick drop. All of those are going to be really good for an offense that's spread out horizontally and attacking more in a wide spread rather than down the middle. But if you are noticing that your line is getting blown up down the middle, a well-rounded guy placed at the center or guard spot could help you out. They still have the outside shield. They have option shield, but they also get inside shield, strong grip, and pocket shield. So just, again, a jack of all trades, master of none. But the fact that you can look for the same archetypes here for the offensive line means that you can just look at every position group. Again, look for the agile guys. If there's a weak center class, no problem, because you can move a guard to center or a tackle down to guard. And on top of that, you're not going to lose the abilities because they are the same across the line. And lastly, let's just touch a little bit here on the formations, a little bit of some play calling tips for you. And the biggest thing with this offense, we talked about there being the X and the Z receiver. 7 is going to be your X receiver. In this formation, Z is going to be number 5 over on the opposite side. Tight end is going to be your Y. You do have that fullback almost who's kind of lined up behind the line. That could be an H in this style offense. Again, it does depend on every individual team. But let's say we were using the doubles off close formation. That puts your slot and your X on the same side. That's not really what you're looking for here. It would make more sense for the tight end to be on the same side and on the line of scrimmage, and then your X being on the outside one-on-one. So to help you get that, the packages is going to be really big for you. So that's going to be your right stick. You're just going to cycle through until you get the wide receiver swap. That'll put your X receiver on the outside by himself as the only receiver out there, getting tight end back at the line. But in some formations, like the doubles Y off here, again, you got the tight end now lined up out at the slot with your X receiver. Unfortunately, this formation does not have a wide receiver swap. So basically, the only thing you might be able to do here is instead of going in and switching the packages, what you could do instead is manually switch that in the depth chart, or in the game situation, you could go in and adjust the players. So move them around to where exactly you need them. Formation subs as well on the main screen could help you do that. But as for my final tip for calling these plays, it is to check out the different play calling tabs. Like the personnel here, if you really want to go run a 4 receiver set, it's just going to make it easier for you to find all the different 4 receiver sets, whether it's going to be spread, trips offset, trips halfback week. It'll break it all down for you. Additionally, going with the play type page could also very much help you out. You could go to the passes here and you can find all of your screen passes, which again is what this offense is going to thrive under. And lastly, you could also adjust your coaching adjustments. This is an offense that could do very well with a no huddle or even a turbo style here. Get back to the line quickly, especially if you get the defense into a mismatch where perhaps they've got linebackers, edge rushers, just something that is not quite perfect for them that you could take advantage of. Keep with the hurry up until they call timeout. Well, that is where we are going to bring things to a close. I hope you learned a little something new here today that you're going to take into your own dynasty. If you do, let me know down in the comments below. And if you don't agree with one of the archetypes, also let me know why down below. But as always, there's going to be a little bit of play around in there. Like maybe you look even at a speedster with that Z-type receiver. Maybe even try that with the slot just to get that extra amount of speed out there. Make something happen in space. Or a gadget guy who could play a little bit of receiver and running back perhaps. That's something that could work in this offense. But if you would like to see some other scheme breakdowns, whether offense or defense, let me know down in the comments below. We've already ran a couple here with the defense, a couple with the offense. We've got more coming your way. And a big game tomorrow with Kent State in the playoffs, as they have gone further this year than any year in school history.